Before I call the meeting to order, I wanted to welcome two new members to the Planning Commission. Nate Nace, Travis Nace, I'm sorry, and Rachel Jones. Thank you for being here. I'd now like to call the meeting to order, February 5th meeting of, oh, sorry, wrong month, March 5th, 2026. And we'll start with Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have a roll call.
Mr. Nace? Here. Mr. Earhart?
Here.
Ms. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Aravalo?
Here.
Ms. Crevier?
Here.
Mr. Sly?
Here.
Ms. Squire?
Here.
Mr. Morse?
Here.
Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to ask for approval of the agenda.
So moved. Do it again.
Second it. A motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay? Thank you. 8-0-0. Let's see. Next item on our agenda is citizen participation. I have two names on the list. And the first person is Joan Waterman. Please state your name and address.
John. Yeah. Yes, John Waterman.
I'm
Thanks.
sorry.
21110 West 186th Terrace in Dayton Creek subdivision. So, appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. And what I'm talking about is the comprehensive plan. And I want to thank, first Mayor Young, the City Council, and finally the Planning Commission for finally kind of redirecting attention back to the comprehensive plan that's fairly outdated at this point. This is very important to me as a relatively new citizen of Spring Hill. Moved here in 2021, December 2021. Moved from Olathe, saw this opportunity of, getting out, a little further away from the metro, got to have some growth opportunity of the city. Kind of, really saw that as something interesting for me, in my life, in my wife's life. And they were talking about the comprehensive plan needing to be, restarted, and that excited me. Got involved, started participating in surveys and everything. And then it kind of stalled. It just died out. Meanwhile, there's been a lot of activity continuing to go on, development, without a good sense of direction or purpose, and that concerns me as a citizen, because I feel that's very important to have that plan and that guidance to kind of guide you into the future. So I want to relate back to the April 2024 Planning Commission meeting, so almost 2 years ago, where the last kind of real conversation of the comprehensive plan took place. And it was at that time that the consultant displayed a future land use map that was kind of developed by them that took the, and I believe someone mentioned at the time on the council or on the commission that the future land map looked more like a 100-year plan than a 10, 20, or 50-year plan, which it definitely did. Very, very massive, not really tangible. So then things kind of died, and in that future land use map, along the BNSF rail, were identified industrial areas of growth, which that in and of itself actually was the thing that made the most sense with the with that future land use map, was the fact that the industrial area was along the railroad track, which made good sense. So where I'm going with this, I only have 1 minute left. Okay, I will make it quick then. So I will now talk about the intersection of 191st Street and Renner Road. It's not a great industrial area, and there's 3 land use maps, Overland Park, Spring Hill, and Olathe, that don't identify that as an industrial growth area. And Overland Park defines it as residential. Olathe currently defines it in their interactive land use map as a conservation and a clustered neighborhood area. And Spring Hill identifies it as a rural residential area. So I don't understand. I'll let my fellow citizens, tell you on the 25th, why data centers are bad. I'm not necessarily for or against the data center. I just know that this plan doesn't line up with land use planning in the area, in the overall area. I know there's going to be a couple months of voting, on this. I urge the commission, I urge city council, and I urge the mayor to really pay attention to what you're setting yourselves up for, because if we identify that is a targeted industrial growth area, we need to notify the other cities. We also need to notify and provide guidance to the owners who just built those massive homes there in the area to the east and the area to the west, that we need to compensate them somehow and say, we didn't realize that this was going to be an industrial growth area, and there has to be some some sort of guidance there, or something to help them out. So I urge you in the coming months, that we all look and make sure that we're doing what is going to be best for the city. Not immediate gain for the city. It's what's the city gonna look like in 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years. So with that, I will end. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, and I hope I don't mispronounce your name, Alexandra.
She's revoking at this time.
Oh, okay. Those are the only people on my list, but if there are other members in the audience that would like to speak, please come forward. Mr. Peterman.
Evening.
Good evening.
This is a good-looking group here. Bill Peterman, 19431 West 200th Street. I just wanted to come up here and say that this group here is not the problem. This group here has always voted and passed on to the city council the right way. I remember when you voted 8-0 about the, what was it? It was the planning commissions. They voted it down. City council came in and started saying, they got it wrong. They got it wrong. You guys remember that? They got it wrong. I kept asking, what did they get wrong? Oh, they got it wrong. So they voted 6-0 to pass it. So it was one of them deals that nobody wanted. It went against the whole theme of what's been going on in Spring Hill forever. The way you guys have laid things out, you've done a good job. You haven't had any closed meetings like City Council has, and they just voted for $128 million wastewater treatment. What does a data center need? Electricity and wastewater. So they're not letting us know, they're not letting you know probably, but this is coming. This is coming, and they want you to take everybody's lecture about why it shouldn't come. Because they've spent their last dollar to buy land and build a house that they're comfortable with, so they can die in it and be happy for the rest of their days on earth. No, yeah, they want to take that away from them. So I honestly think that I just wanted to come up here and make sure that these people didn't know that you was the ones gonna be causing the problems. They need to talk with you and see who to talk with, maybe on city council. But I think city council has, left us in the dirt, and they're getting something somewhere to have that come in. I was out and talked to the electrical people putting up the thing across Renner Road that just past 199th Street. I heard a comment, something about Spring Hillbillies. Spring Hillbillies. They won't know what to do. What? Are we all Spring Hillbillies? Think about it. They're coming in, they're building their water treatment, they're building their electric, they're gonna shove this in. Now, after all that gets in here, then they're gonna tell us, oh yeah, well, we've got a data center coming in. We wanna vote that in. Don't let it get that far. Help us. Tell us what we can do to help you so that we can get it where too it's not in there. I do remember during these last elections, everybody kept talking, you know, we want to be open and outright, transparent. Why do they have 2 or 3 closed meetings at every city council? Why is that? Why are they having 2 or 3 meetings behind closed doors, and then all of a sudden, oh, we're gonna buy the line from Beatrice to Spring Hill and add on some more sewers? Well, that's gonna help our growth. That's gonna help our growth. I don't care that we grow. I do care that we bring in data centers. Data centers have a decibel of 80 to 95, constant. If you ain't goofy now, you'll be then. Think about it.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank
Bill.
you.
Anybody else? If not, we close that citizen participation section, and we'll move over to our formal action, approval of our minutes of February 5th, 2026.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February 5th, 2026.
Second it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. 800. Our first item this evening, or second item this evening, is election of the Planning Commission Chair and Vice Chair. And I would like to open the floor for nominations.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Kendra.
Fine.
I'll second the nomination.
You willing to serve?
I accept the nomination.
Okay. Any other nominations? If not, we'll close that. Do we proceed to the vice chair, or do we vote on?
Just vote on this one. Vote on this one and then do vice.
Okay. Well, we have one candidate. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Oh, I get to, we get to move?
You're it.
All right.
Or do you want to get through vice chair first? Because she hasn't announced it.
Really quick, were there any no's to that?
No.
It sounded unanimous to me, but okay.
That was unanimous.
Want the record to be clear. Thank you.
Do unanimous, Spencer? No.
I'm not trying to suggest anything. I just.
Do I do the vice chair, or,
I don't care. Either one.
Okay,
okay?
your choice.
Yeah.
You might as well.
The floor is open for vice chair nomination.
I'll nominate Chuck for vice chair.
I second that.
Got a motion and a second. We're willing to serve.
I respectfully accept the nomination. Thanks.
Okay. Any other nominations? If not, we'll close the nomination for vice chair and we'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous. 800.
Thank you.
And you.
I don't have to move. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Breaking up the girl squad over here.
Ooh, the view's nicer over here.
Right.
Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Kendra. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right, bear with me. I'm new here. All right. So that's not what I wanted. I apologize, guys. All right, so we will move on to public hearing. The rezoning application Z25-5, C2 to MPPO.
Okay, good evening, folks. Is it okay if I begin?
Oh, yes, please, thank you. Sorry.
No, you're good. Good evening. My name is Ian Treffern, city planner. Not used to a. Oh, sorry. Oh, you're gonna follow that. Okay. Not used to a big crowd, so bear with me. I'm presenting application Z25-5, a rezoning from C2 to MP with a PO overlay for the property located on the west side of Webster Street, approximately half a mile north of 223rd Street. The applicant, Todd Allenbrand, on behalf of the property owner, Brian Brenneman, is requesting this rezoning. The subject property is approximately 2.75 acres of land. Let's pull this up. And within that subject property, a subsection, which is denoted here in the hatched lining, is the requested rezoning. Just to clarify, the property's current zoning designation is C2 General Business, and it's going to MP Industrial Park with a protective overlay. The request of this rezoning action is to facilitate the use of the property with an accessory outdoor laydown storage area. So the purpose of the PO overlay is to provide restrictions to the industrial park zoning, so that way the more nuisance-causing land uses that are typically associated with MP are not permitted. So really what this is doing is just finding a way to construct the zoning designation such that the principal land use of office can be permitted while also allowing for that accessory outdoor storage. If there's any questions about that, I can kind of clarify, but the PO just kind of lays on top of the base zoning district to further restrict it. Part of the issue is that within the current adopted zoning ordinance, there's not a way to permit outdoor storage in the C2 district at all. So we have to go to the MP to find that available land use and then restrict that down to fit the intended use. A little bit of history about the subject property. The property was originally designated for a multi-tenant commercial center back in 2021 as part of a site plan application. That was never developed, so the property currently remains vacant. Within the surrounding area, to the north is predominantly a mix of residential and undeveloped land. Immediately north, there are R3 multifamily and R1 single-family zoning. To the northwest is RP1 planned single-family, and to the immediate west is RR rural residential. Across Webster Street to the south is C2 commercial. The future land use plan designates this specific chunk of land as part of the residential. However, it backs up directly to the commercial mixed-use future land use designation. With the future land use plan, it's not an exact parcel-by-parcel designation. So with that, it's kind of expected that as properties develop out, it might not fit exactly where it shows up. With the way that this parcel is kind of laid out, I'm trying to think of how to explain this. The portion on the south east would be designated as future land use commercial. However, just by the nature of how small that area is, it's to be assumed that that might flex as properties are able to be developed. So with that, it's technically residential, but it's still within an area and a site layout that is compatible with that commercial, provided that it has the appropriate appropriate land use planning considerations, which will be associated with the site plan application that'll come before you in the future. But associated with that site plan will be things like landscaping, buffering, all the things you would come to expect to kind of mitigate those off-site impacts. The staff letter goes over the Golden standards set forth by the City of Overland Park v. Golden. With that, you can kind of read over the different factors associated into the rezoning. If you have any questions about any specific factor, I can kind of dive into it a little bit more. But staff has reviewed all the different factors, and we don't find any misalignment or noncompliance with the requested rezoning, provided that the PO overlay is applied and those restrictions are enforced. With that, staff has no further comment, but we do recommend approval with the conditions set forth in the staff letter. Thank you so much.
Do you mind describing outdoor lay-down storage?
Hey, really quick, Ian.
Yes.
Kendra, can we open the public hearing?
Oh,
That's fine.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's on me for not getting it open before.
I
So
just-
yeah, go ahead and announce.
formerly open the public hearing?
Yes,
Okay.
and then
Huh?
It's old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Now
So-
you can start. I'm teasing.
really, and Ian, really quick, sorry, one more thing. Any conflicts of interest or ex parte communications to disclose of the commissioners?
None.
No.
No,
Great, all right. Sorry to interrupt.
sorry.
No, it's the first time, thanks.
Thank you.
So the specific definition within the UDO for this sort of outdoor storage is kind of tied to an operable. I can find it to be specific, but I can also have the applicant kind of speak to what that intended storage is going to look like. So actually, let's do that first. I'll have the applicant speak to what that's supposed to look like. If that's okay.
Todd Allenbrand, Renaissance Infrastructure Consulting, 102 Abbey Avenue, Kansas City, Kansas. The site is, I'm here with the clients, the developers, Brian Brennerman and Clifford Stahl. They have a contracting company and they need an area where they can store their equipment that's not somewhere on site. So, you know, they have trailers associated with, you know, backhoes or whatever. So it's basically just a storage, a secure area. They can put that stuff. Plus, they're proposing to have a three-sided building to protect things that are covered, you know, maybe equipment or materials that they need for the sites that they're working on. So that's what they're coming here for. And the reason we had to go to as Ian was saying, go to the MP zoning with the protective overlay is because there's not allowed in commercial. You know, we were hoping that we could do commercial with a special use permit, but wasn't allowed. So this was the option. And with the protective overlay, we have to designate, you know, the items that are going to be done in there, and that's the only thing. So, you know, storage equipment, storage of supplies, a shop, things like that. So, you know, probably going to only be limited to 2 or 3 things. Now, the rest of the site is going to operate just like a commercial building. They're going to have their offices and their staff and their employees will come there. So, other than that, I mean, that's pretty much the bulk of the reason for the rezoning. And as Ian mentioned, which we aren't talking about land use. I mean, we're talking about land use and not land. What we're proposing on the site, but we are preserving, you know, some of the tree lines to the north, and we're adding extensive amount of landscaping, which will come in later on for your commission. And if you have any specific questions or more uses to the specifics, I would just like defer to Brian or Clifford to come up and address those.
Will the area where the equipment and the backhoes will be stored, will that be paved or gravel?
Gravel.
Okay. And how often do you expect the equipment to be going in and out, or would it typically be stored off-site?
I think that would probably be a better answer from Brian.
And just to get a sense of like the amount of traffic of the heavy equipment coming in and out.
Very rarely. You know, once a month there might be a skid loader or something. 99% of the time our stuff is on job sites. It's kept off site. The amount of material that we talked about, maybe some miscellaneous pipe. I got a photo, I did not bring a copy of it, but of what what I would consider, and I can show it to you, but what I would consider our storage area right now. We currently have an office in Gardner, Kansas. We're wanting to move to Spring Hill to move all this here. That's our current type storage.
Okay,
And the
thank
day
you.
The day the photo was taken, there was, one skid loader.
So that's the laydown and
That's my
laydown
laydown.
storage?
Right now, that's my current laydown area.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's very minimal, and we'll have a fence around it, of course. But very minimal use for equipment. Like I said, it's mainly, very small pipe. We have a plumbing company and a contracting company, so miscellaneous small items.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
How high would the fencing be?
I believe we've talked about 6 foot.
What are you planning on using as an entrance to, like from Webster, or if that makes sense what I'm asking, if I can ask that?
I mean, it doesn't touch Webster though, does it?
So I think one thing that we just need to be considerate of here is that right now we're just looking at land use designation.
Okay.
When we start getting into like the site-specific layout, we'll touch on
Okay,
that in the
okay.
site plan application.
Perfect.
Ian, I did have a question regarding that. Is the PO forever designated with this MP rezoning then? So is it always tied to this MP zoning, the PO overlay?
Yeah, it's an adopted zoning designation that has its own ordinance attached to it.
Right, but it doesn't delay, like it's not gonna go away, then we're stuck with the MPA or the MP that can have all the nuisance material and everything, right?
No,
So
no,
this will always be tied with the MP.
Yeah, as part of the ordinance for the rezoning of the property, it will be implicitly tied to that PO.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
you have to come back through to separate them out.
Thank you.
effectively. It runs with the land.
And then if a different applicant in the future wanted to propose MP adjacent to this, it would have to be considered in light of the protective overlay that's on this property, right?
That's correct. We wouldn't just take that as, oh, there's MP right next to it. It's, yeah, there's MP, but it has all these restrictions. It's really more of a commercial site. That's one of the factors.
And Ian, I know you're new, but I don't think we've ever been presented with a protective overlay before.
Yeah,
Why is this appearing now and what's changed?
Nothing's changed. So this has been in the UZO for quite a while. When Mike and I got here, we were looking through the UZO and we saw this as a tool that I think has just been kind of underutilized. One of the things that we've kind of found frustration with is that there's not ways to add land uses to zoning districts, but there are ways to subtract them. And the PO is that way of subtracting. So we would like to kind of utilize it as kind of like another tool in our tool belt of how to kind of more tightly regulate and find more appropriate land uses for certain zoning designations. But yeah, it just hasn't been used.
And
My concern is that as I look at the industrial area off of Webster and 185th or whatever those streets are, it's very unsightly from the highway. I don't want the same thing on this side of town
Yeah.
to occur.
Yeah, I understand that. And that's kind of going to Chuck's point where, you know, when reviewing future potential rezoning requests, this won't be just taken as a blanket, this is now good for all industrial. This is really looking at it more of like a commercial plus. So there's certainly land use considerations when it comes to the site plan application and how that site's actually laid out and what it looks like. But as far as that heavy industrial kind of uglier land use, you're not going to see that crop up in this area. Because it's not compatible, it's not similar to what is in front of you now. We wouldn't use this as the basis for heavy industrial down the road.
I missed, where's the laydown area at?
So right now, I think it's proposed to be on the north end.
On the north end?
Yeah. I don't have a mouse, but.
And Ian, to kind of continue the discussion of protective overlay, how would a PO relate to a conditional use permit?
They don't. So the conditional use permit is tied to the site plan application, whereas this is tied to the rezoning action.
Okay, thanks.
And that entire area is only, what, 2.75 acres?
You're still gonna see it.
That's being rezoned?
That's correct, 2.756.
So laydown area is, you're gonna be able to see it from Webster.
So we'll kind of get into it with the site plan application, but there will be screening requirements for all sides that abut right-of-way or face right-of-way or other properties. So I don't want to get into it too much because we just have to be mindful about what the criteria are for the rezoning request specifically. But in draft applications that we've seen, and we've been having communication with the applicant, we're requesting enhanced buffering on all sides that are going to be visible from anywhere other than the site itself. So we're aware of that. Yeah.
Okay, and this piece, I'm looking on the colored map, this piece that goes across into C2, there was some mention that, what I understood, that would be C2, but we're redoing all of it to MP with the PO, is that
Are you looking at the current zoning designation map?
this one?
So what exactly are you referring to?
So this piece here,
So that's county, that's not associated with this.
okay, okay,
So just to clarify,
okay,
just for the record, Cindy was looking at the current zoning map and was identifying the area in the county as to whether or not that would be part of the rezoning. And I was just clarifying that's only the portion that's designated within the city limits.
See if this is where it's up there. See what?
Ian, as you know, we
Okay.
did receive a letter from an adjacent property owner.
Yep.
And one of the things mentioned in there was, like a tree preservation. And in the past, we've talked about it, but since you and Mike have fresh ideas and things, what's your perspective on that? Like ways, and I know that what's being suggested here is, landscaping that we'll see in the future with the site plan, the fencing that'll probably be in there, a 6-foot fence, kind of a privacy fence. But in terms of preserving the natural trees, which are on the property line, is there anything that the city can do to sort of encourage the applicant to maintain that in the future as additional buffering?
So tree preservation easements, I mean, there's different perspectives and kind of theory about. I am a little hesitant to love them. I think that they're great in theory, but I think that tying landscaping with site development applications is a more appropriate way to handle that sort of thing. But yes, that is one of the tools, tree preservation easements, in maintaining landscape buffering. I think that relying on the development ordinance and our development standards to supply that is a more effective way to do it, because easements get into a whole bunch of maintenance issues, and then you start, I could have a whole conversation with you about that, but
Okay.
yeah, it's one of the tools that we can consider.
I was just curious, we haven't talked about it, and the letter brought it up, so I was kind of just curious about your perspective. So it sounds like you believe that the cleanest way is to focus on the site plan and the city's ordinances.
I do, yeah. I think that encumbering plats and property, like legal descriptions and I guess plats specifically with easements, I think there's too much of a good thing. That's just my professional opinion, but
Ian, you said this PO has a long list, an extensive list. What are some of the things besides just that it just brings it back to a commercial with a few little extras?
so I believe, are you talking about within the staff letter itself? Or-
No, you just stated here a while ago that it's an extensive list. What else is under a PO? What else does it restrict?
So the PO can be used to restrict land uses, it can be used to restrict some development standards. I believe there should be a copy of the section of the ordinance that deals with the PO specifically that was provided to you that we kind of go over if you'd like. It's a pretty flexible way to kind of restrict land uses, so I can find it and speak to exactly what it shows.
I'd rather explain it.
Yeah, give me one quick moment, let me pull that up.
Yeah, when Ian and I first took a look at this, and looking at the compatibility of land uses, be it industrial or commercial, in order to do the outdoor storage, they would have to zone to industrial in our code. We didn't feel it was appropriate to allow the full range of land uses allowed in the MP zoning district on this property due to its proximity to existing residential and also future commercial development along Webster. And so that's where the protected overlay allows us to, because we can't add land uses in our current code, which is something we will likely bring back forward to amend. Because if we could, we would have just zoned this to C2 with an overlay that added accessory storage. Because our code isn't written that way today, we have to use the code that's in place. So our next best bet is to up it to the MP zone and list the land uses that can be in there, which we did, which is reiterate all the C2 land uses with the additional outside storage. So because of the way our code is written, that's the path we had to take. But potentially in the future, we'd like to bring back an amendment where it doesn't have to be this complicated. We can take all of the land uses in C2 and add in an additional land use that
If the site development, conditions, additional landscaping, fencing, things of that nature that can be included into it to make it more compatible, then we could bring that forward and then you could consider such a thing. But we're essentially doing that, but we're playing by the rules that are in effect at this time by just saying it's MP with a PO, but the PO states all C2 land uses with outside storage, and that's it.
And this stays with it, it's not like a conditional use where it has to be revisited every year.
That's
This just stays with it, no revisits.
That's correct, unless it were to be affirmatively changed through the standard rezoning application process.
Just for reference, these are the different standards that can be modified using the PO. So you got your permitted conditional accessory land uses, which is what we're applying here. But you can also adjust the density, lot size, lot width, setbacks, restrictions on access, as well as, it kind of has a blanket statement here at the end, any other specific development standards required or authorized by this regulation, which I take that, I mean, we can talk to Spencer about that, but what that means. But there's quite a list of options
Okay.
that gives us.
Thank you.
Just to be clear, the rest of the property that's already there is already C2, correct?
That's correct.
And it's gonna stay C2. It's just this 2.75 acres in the back, so it'll be commercial in front of it. Just to clear up the rest of the 11 acres that's there.
Any other questions?
So I was just gonna say, anybody have any other questions?
Nope.
No? Okay. Oh, yeah, I've got like 4 of them. Okay. So now we will open public comments from the audience. If anyone would like to come up, please state your name and address.
I'm Tara Combs. I live actually right where that other development that you guys are gonna hear about next time is. It's 15320 West 191st Terrace. Tara Combs. I just wanted to point out how he referenced that it's ugly and that's what industrial is. I just wanted to make sure that you guys heard him say that. That's directly from him. I also have a question. Just I think it's maybe a bad precedence for us to start putting just small industrial areas in places. It opens the door for a lot of things, and I think a lot of us are worried about that. So just changing the zoning in one little place just kind of opens the door for other things. So I just want to make that stated. And then my other question was just if there was an opportunity for this to be reviewed every year, is that a bad thing? Is it a bad thing for us to review something every year? And if there was a special application that needed to be done for that, we could keep it at something lower than industrial. Why wouldn't we do that? Why wouldn't we keep it lower than industrial? There are other options. Like, was that presented to you? Did you deny that? I don't know, but I think there are other options than to just say, let's go straight to industrial. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Christine Collazo.
Oh, sorry, can you wait till you get to the microphone? Thank you.
My name is Christine Collazo. And I live down here off of 215th, but 210, 85 Millbridge. But why we already have a, like this gentleman here said, it's an eyesore. I drove down the highway today. And I'm like, what has happened to Spring Hill? It used to be a charming small town. And that, how many storage facilities do we need? They're an eyesore. They all should have fencing up and down that highway. It looks like crud. And I really don't want it going past 191st. And what, if it's, I don't understand why you, if it's just a skid loader, why do you need this large space moved down here? Why not just stay down here? Because I don't believe it's just a skid loader. I mean, maybe it is, but I think it needs to stay down with all the other semis and storage facilities that's already down there. I mean, we already have like, what, 6 new ones now? I noticed like 2 of them being built today. I'm like, how many of these facilities do we need? And on the west side of the highway, we already have that car lot or whatever it is in Broad Rock, and we don't need to clutter up each side. I just want to keep the small town charm. I don't want to lose that. And I feel like we're losing it. And I hope not. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Kurt Vanderpool, 20012 South Country View Terrace. Just a couple things that I appreciated Ian speaking to that I hope we can remember when we talk again in a couple of weeks about incompatible land uses. And my thoughts on zoning and how there are zones to protect existing landowners, zones to protect existing ways of life. And I think we have to make sure that that's something that we keep in mind as we come back to this topic in a couple of weeks. The other thing that I would have a question, it was spoken about on this laydown storage, there would be storage of skid loader, some laydown pipe, but other supplies as well. I'm assuming probably want to have some good definition on what those other supplies are, whether it would be fuel storage or anything of that nature. Since this is to store equipment, is there going to be fuel stored on site as well? Would that be within the realms of the other supplies? That'd be a question. So I think it's just important to think about the comprehensiveness of when we start setting precedents, when we start allowing things, what kind of a precedent does that lay down for the future? So I would just ask the council to really, or the commission to really think about that, keep that in mind as we're going down these next several months. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to come up? Thank you, sir. All right. Do the commission members have any other questions or need any clarification from the applicant or staff?
Ian, can you clarify the PO again, how protective this is over the MP and the nuisance of the storage and what they're storing, what they can and cannot store? I think there might be a little confusion on that still. Like, can they store fuel out there, or is that part of the protective overlay?
So that's not, we have a specific definition for gas and fuel storage facilities, and that will not be part of the permitted land uses. That will be kind of tailored for that PO. We're gonna draft up a list of permitted land uses to kind of go forward to city council as part of the ordinance. But at this time, we're not looking at doing fuel storage.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have any questions? Going once, going twice? All right. Public hearing is closed. Do we have any discussion, deliberation?
I'll just kind of reiterate, I think, some of what I heard, which is, this is a rezoning, so it's not a site plan, so we're not talking about a conditional use permit or anything associated with the future site plan, which we may be discussing in the future. I heard staff say that if we could add uses to existing zoning like C2, then that would have been the ideal or easy path here because it's already C2. And the staff report, I think, and the comments make it pretty clear that the intent of this, of using MP with a protective overlay, is really just to make it C2 plus, just to allow this very specific stated use of the property. So I think it seems pretty reasonable, you know, based on everything that I've heard. I don't expect the applicant will have a lot of equipment there because if the equipment is there, then it's not making money elsewhere. So it's in their interest to have it off-site as much as possible. And the image that I saw of the things that, and I appreciate the clarity on laydown because I didn't know what that meant either. But everything's on the ground and it looks to me like it would be below the level of the fence. So it would be out of sight. We're not talking about, you know, any type of heavy industrial use with light pollution and height and noise and lots of traffic and all those things. It seems pretty minimal. Yeah, and I do agree with what one of the members of the public said regarding kind of our existing industrial area along 169 and just the optics of that. And I would say that the good news is we have additional staff. The city has additional staff, additional resources now that we haven't had in the past. And I think that Ian and Mike bring, you know, experience and new perspective on those things, and I think they kind of agree. And I'm excited to see what we can do better, you know, going forward, starting with the comprehensive plan and each of these applications. And I feel like the staff is spending a lot more effort now on being very intentional and requesting compromises from applicants, you know, on each type of rezoning request or site plan. So I appreciate that, and I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic going forward. So I think that'll help, and it'll help improve our results of what we see in the future.
I agree. I feel, as one of our speakers said, I feel like Spring Hill for a very long time was kind of just pieced together just randomly. I mean, driving down Webster, it was like that. But I feel like just even within the last 5 years, maybe 10 years, it's made massive strides with really having intent on where we're putting things. And I've been seeing that more and more. I've lived in Spring Hill my whole life. I moved here when I was 1. I lived at 215th and Renner, just for background. So I've seen some things here in Spring Hill, and I really feel that it's gotten so much better just within this past decade. The layout of Spring Hill and how it is starting to really grow, and it's starting to make more sense. And so I agree with what Chuck was saying, that we have really good staff that is helping to guide that and make it better. And not that people didn't care before, but people on commissions that really care and are really being more mindful of that. And so I do agree that it's moving in the right direction. Cautiously optimistic is a great way of saying that, but I do feel like we're moving in the right direction for that. And so I definitely hear what you're saying as far as those concerns go. I do like the PO, just because, like you were saying, yes, it should be C2, but with the current codes, like they were saying, like, yes, I understand that there must be some a give and take there with what we're working with versus what we need, and we're getting there. We're getting there.
So I agree with everything Chuck so eloquently stated. I wish I could have stated it that way, but it addresses a lot of what was in the letter that when the applicant spoke and Ian came up, the staff spoke about, you know, the lack of probably noise pollution, the lack of environmental pollution. Probably not going to be unsightly with the large fence. It's in the back, so there still can be commercial, you know, close to Webster. And I think the protective overlay zoning is a great idea, like what Kendra was saying, for that specific spot, for this specific landowner, for what his needs are for the C2. But it'll be like a C2, just with a little overlay that protects actually the city against anything else, you know, happening in there, even though it'll be industrial, have that protective overlay. So I think it's, I'm optimistic as well.
Feel like I should jump in. Yeah, it's hard to separate the use from the zoning itself. Industrial can always be a little bit scary, but you know, I'm thankful that we dug up this protective overlay district. I think that is gonna be a useful tool moving forward, or at least maybe help a little bit. I think the site plan application and the screening and the landscape plan is gonna be very important with this one. I think this is gonna be a sensitive area that we really need to pay attention to, but I'm optimistic again of the direction we're headed here with, you know, starting to uncover some of these tools that apparently we've had this whole time, so.
Any other comments or discussions?
I guess I have a tendency to agree with what's been said. I probably would encourage, rather than a 6-foot fence, put a higher fence up there, at least 8, because those loaders aren't real short. And you don't know what else is going to be stored. So again, I'm concerned about the optics of what people would see from Webster, and more importantly, what people would see from 169.
Well, I guess my concern with the landscaping, you mentioned higher fence, is it chain link or is it a decorative, non-see-through fence? If it's just chain link, you see
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
That,
Usually they're decorative.
And that's gonna be the tough part, cause we're talking strictly on rezoning, so I think that's why the
Yep.
site plan and the screening is gonna be very important to us when it comes before us, so.
Agreed.
just make note of that.
Yes.
The staff report mentions opaque fencing is required by the UZO, by the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
So opaque, is that wood? Wood opaque?
It's not see-through.
Right.
It's not see-through, so.
If there's, do I entertain a motion? Okay, if there's no other discussion, then I will entertain a motion.
Hang on, we need to close the public hearing if we didn't?
I already did.
Oh, you did, okay.
I did.
I move to recommend approval of application Z-25-5 rezoning Briarcliff Commercial Center to the Spring Hill governing body.
I second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. We will start on the left.
aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Oh, any opposed? All right, motion carries 8-0-0. All right, do I need to mention number 11 here, Amy? Do I need to read out number 11 here?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
No? Okay, perfect. All right, go back up here then. Sorry, I'm trying to get back up to where I need to be. All right, is there any, let's see, any discussion? Is that where I'm at? Sorry. Okay, announcement and reports.
Sorry, that was my job. I keep forgetting. So the following items related to community development were approved at the February 12th, 2026 City Council meeting. Approval of final plat FP 25-15 Ozark Ready Mix Spring Hill first plat. Approval of final plat FP 25-14 Avondale Meadows third plat. Approval of final plat FP 25-11 Oak Woods fifth plat. Approval of ordinance for rezoning Z 25-4 R1 and R2 to RP1. I believe that's for the Woodland Ridge. Approval of ordinance for conditional use permit with site plan CU 25-2/SP 25-9 Spring Hill Car Wash. And approval of ordinance for conditional use permit with site plan CU 25-30 SP 25-10 Ozark Ready Mix. And then no items were listed for the February 26th City Council meeting. That's all.
All right. That's good. We're good? All right, so do we have a motion to adjourn?
I have a question.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Discussion.
Oh, we need discussion? Oh, my bad.
I guess I'd like to ask the staff to, I know we've talked about this several times, the city council has talked about it several times, about making some recommendations on some of our zoning, except especially M1, to spread out the industrial, heavy industrial, and any other variations that you're familiar with that other cities use. Because I think we're beginning to see more action, and I think there's gotta be a differentiation, especially as we move into the comprehensive, going back to the comprehensive plan and knowing where we wanna go and where we want certain things to be.
Sure, yeah, I can address that. Staff is working on developing some, looking at our existing zoning designations, our existing zoning districts, and potentially adding a third one. We currently have 2 industrial zoning districts. We have the MP, which is basically industrial park, and then we have the M1, which is general industrial. I think given the city's growth patterns and potential future build out, we would be wise to adopt at least one more, a third industrial zoning to have essentially a heavy industrial land use, or zoning district, a light industrial, and then potentially even a lighter one, a third one that might be more similar to our current industrial park MP zoning. So it's certainly something we're looking at. Hope to have something available for discussion within the next 4 to 6 weeks. We'll have to work with the city attorney to figure out how to best do a zoning transition program, should that be adopted. Because if we were to create for example, a new M2 zoning district, what do we do with all the property that's currently, and we make M2 heavy industrial, what do we do with all the property that's zoned M1 that we would be immediately making legal non-conforming? And so no expansion could happen on any of those. And so we'll have to work through how best to do that. I believe most of our code goes, the zoning district, and then 1 is the lowest common, or the lowest allowed land uses, and then they go up as you add numbers to it. So we wouldn't want to do anything backwards from that and create M2 and make that heavy industrial, or, make like, M1 heavy industrial and M2 light industrial, because that would be kind of backwards from the way the rest of our code goes. So it's something we're looking at, and as part of whether that's quasi judicial and we look at affirmatively rezoning all the existing M1, or we look at those existing land uses and which, as we write the new zoning district, which properties would fit into which one, based upon their existing use and their, industrial nature. So we are working on it, and hope to have a draft here, like I said, in a couple of weeks. But the implementation on that would probably be where we need to spend most of our time and effort in figuring out how to do that going forward. But a city our size, we don't need to have 6 different industrial zonings. A city, like Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas might need that because of just the wide variety of industrial uses they have and which are appropriate, which aren't. But it's definitely something we're looking at.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
My question is, do we have a idea of when the next work session is for, I don't know if it's joint or if it's just for us so that we can get our comp plan going again?
Absolutely, yeah. We are looking at doing that in the near future. It would likely follow any kind of joint session or joint meeting between the Planning Commission and City Council, so that feedback can maybe take place before we do a work session. But it's definitely something we've already started planning and working how to do, and bring forward, some maybe scenarios or hear the feedback, look at where we are. It's taking Ian and I a little bit to kind of retrace history, if you will.
Your feet wet?
Yeah, get it, and just trying to figure out where things left off, why they left off, and at what point. And I think the why is behind it. the biggest part. It seems like a lot of the comprehensive planning stuff has been done already, but obviously it's stalled. And trying to bring it back in a way that actually leads to meaningful discussion and leads to building a consensus that we could help you adopt and take forward to city council. Comprehensive planning with a group of 9 individuals is going to not result in 100% consensus all the time. Everybody's not going to agree on everything, but hopefully we can bring something back that the majority of people agree on. And I envision us bringing back different scenarios rather than just here's staff's answer to all of the problems. Because if we had that crystal ball, we probably wouldn't be doing what we do. We'd be real estate developers and sitting on a beach somewhere. But different scenarios that play out, kind of play the tape forward. If this corridor develops residentially, then what are the implications and how does that cascade down to supporting land uses? If this corridor develops as industrial, how does that play out with future land use patterns and things of that nature? And then having those discussions and seeing what the commissioners like out of this idea, maybe pull some from that, remove stuff in this, and kind of combine it all together and bring back some alternatives and some future discussion items for sure.
But I just, not to be pushy, but it would be very nice if we could get going. The summer times are gonna be here and it's gonna be harder to get this whole group together. The
Yes.
longer we wait.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the next work session with the city council is already scheduled for April 2nd. Is that right? Okay.
So,
And I have,
But I just didn't know,
What we were discussing.
right, I mean,
Yeah.
are we gonna do that and then wait another month before we get together, or, I mean,
I would suggest, just off the top of my head, when we've talked about it internally, is potentially utilizing that third Thursday of the month of April, or in April, to do a joint, or to do a planning commission only work session. We haven't confirmed with any of your schedules yet. It's just something we've tentatively put on the calendar, but if that date doesn't work and we need to shift it to a different day, we can do that as well. But that was our tentative goal.
but that helps for all of us to know to kind of keep that one blocked off.
Yes.
And Mike, do you think, since we're kind of, in some ways, we're trying to finish what was already started, but in some ways, this is sort of a restart also. But would you anticipate there being, other than attending the work sessions and listening to the discussion, will there be other opportunities for the public, again, to weigh in on the comp plan, do you expect?
I certainly envision that, yes. And it would probably be after we have that work session, we get some feedback from the planning commissioners on maybe fine tuning some of those alternative scenarios or, alternative development patterns. The comprehensive plan isn't just the future land use map itself. It's all of the components of that, future infrastructure needs, future, where are gonna be our major intersections going forward? Is it gonna be at 199th and Renner? Is it gonna be at 191st and Renner? What looks a little bit further east? What's going on the south side and the west side of 169? But kind of laying out some of those alternatives, fine tuning them, and then seeking public feedback on those. The manner of which we obviously haven't decided yet because we're just kicking this off. It could be, a website. It could be us, putting them out for public comment again. There's lots of different creative ways to get public feedback nowadays than just setting up shop at a community event or inviting people here on a Thursday night. There's ways that we can get that public input, and we're really interested in the public input from people who wouldn't normally provide public input. We want to make sure that every part of the city has the opportunity to provide their thoughts and opinions, and making that as accessible to people as possible through a variety of different methods. Some people may not have computer access, so just doing something online might not be the best. So it's definitely something we can explore and pull best practices from what other cities have done. I think we're gonna benefit and have benefited from the fact that almost every other city in the metro area is in the middle of a comprehensive plan update or has already completed one in the last 5 years. The federal funding that came out of COVID really was a windfall for cities, and a lot of them spent that money on new comprehensive plans. So looking at their planning processes, reaching out to those neighboring cities or other cities in the metro to see which methods got the best response rate can help us going forward.
I think some of the, I don't think Kendra, I don't think you were even in on the ones that we worked on, the map that we worked on in the old cafeteria.
Nope.
But that one and then the one that Josh drew up, I think were the two that most of us had agreed on and got the most work. But there's 3 planning commissioners here that never saw either one of those, so.
I've been on for a year and haven't seen it.
But I think those were the
mean-
maps that probably got the most attention.
Well, and honestly, I think Shockey put that 100-year, remember that 100-year map we were doing with Pat Burton, and they just used that. That kind of came, it didn't come from Shockey, it came from what we worked on, I think. Because they kept saying, what do you want to see in 100 years? So we kept extending it.
100 years.
Yeah.
Well, I really wish I had that crystal ball.
Well, that's why we were like, okay. We'll
Yeah.
do what we can, but.
Okay, yeah, and that's what we're discussing internally is we're starting with what's there and looking
Yeah.
at how to, not reinvent the wheel if we don't have to, but also bringing some new ideas into the mix as well. And if there's things that we've seen in our professional environment or we've seen other cities do that maybe Spring Hill could benefit from and that the planning commission could benefit from some of these additional ideas, then we'd like to present those to you as well.
And I think the downfall with that, with a lot of the comprehensive plan where we all stalemated out was the verbiage. We felt like it was stale and copy pasted.
That is a tried and true measure for a lot of comprehensive plans.
And it didn't, I think we all kind of were like, no, this doesn't fit us.
Right, exactly.
I just had a general question, Mike, about CUPs. Like, many years ago, we switched. They used to have to renew them every 5 years and pay a fee, and I think we wanted to get rid of the fee, and the city did too, and have an annual review, which I like better. And this is kind of for Chuck's benefit.
Thank you.
For Monarch Cement Plant. I don't think the Planning Commission has ever seen any of the reviews or been involved in any of the reviews, to my knowledge, that, and I think we should be if there's complaints or concerns by the public.
Okay.
That's just a suggestion because that's one of the big ones that comes to mind that should be fixed. And I think it can be fixed fairly reasonably cheap and everybody would be happy. I don't think the Monarch plant would be upset. So I think I would like to see some of those reviews that are being, concerned by the public or any of the commissioners to see that. I know there's quite a few of them, but I think it's important that we are involved in those reviews.
On the 5-year plans years back, we did get.
Well, we had to renew every 5 years. They had to come in front of us every 5 years.
Right. And I believe Amy actually just came and asked me about this yesterday about how we want to go about doing that. And so I would defer to her on how we have handled that in the past few years or.
I brought them to you guys.
Annual reviews, I bring them to you.
Okay. I don't
Staff
remember
goes
that.
out and looks at the sites. And if we found any violations or anything, which we don't find any, I mean, they're all kept in pretty good repair. So, but you do get them yearly.
When's the Monarch one
I
coming?
think you should look at night.
I don't know that that's part of the commission.
Yeah, if there are any specific issues with a particular property, staff is more than happy to go investigate those. Just let us know and we can go out there and if they are at night, then we can inspect that at night as well. But it would probably be a little bit burdensome for us to bring in every property owner who has a conditional use permit in once a year to testify or to show with pictures and everything that they're doing it on their own. I think to make it the most efficient use of their time, our time, your time, the way we do it is probably the best way. But if there's more information you would like as part of that, then we could look at bringing that forward as part of that annual review.
And I think one of the things that we've heard before with CUPs is that it's one of the ways that, of course, the city and perhaps the planning commission and the city council holds applicants accountable for exceptions and specific uses. So I think in some way, if there's some way of kind of communicating back to the planning commission what the staff, saw or didn't see during inspections and what you guys decided and why, or if there were changes requested, maybe it's more just informative. And then if there are specific properties which members of the public have concerns with and they come to us or the city council to share those concerns, then maybe those are ones that, maybe are addressed with a little more attention.
Yeah, I don't think we need to have the applicant in or anything like that.
Right, yeah.
It's just more like what Chuck mentioned.
Yeah, I think it's a good review to have those, because oftentimes with conditional use permits, specific conditions are put on to those land uses to help make them more compatible with surrounding land uses. In general, a conditional use permit is applied to land uses that in some parts of town under that zoning district, they're compatible and a good use, but other parts of town where with the same zoning district, but the land uses surrounding it are differently, maybe it's not. Or maybe there's, mitigating criteria that can be put or conditions put onto that use to make it more compatible in a certain area that maybe not. And so, oftentimes, as some people move into a site, they've been using it the way that they want to use it the way the previous owner used it, and may not know about these conditions. And so that annual review is a good way to ensure that can get done. Kind of just in general on conditional use permits, as I said, the intent of those is to really look at the use of this land use on this property, and is it appropriate here? As kind of mentioned at our rezoning public hearing this evening, staff, the applicant had talked with staff about a conditional use or a special use permit on that as like a way to allow it, even though it's not listed in the code. Our unified zoning ordinance is very clear. We can only do conditional use permits for those uses that are specified under each zoning district as being allowed by conditional use permit. We can't just add a land use in and just randomly attach a conditional use permit to it. So that's why we brought forward the rezoning with the protected overlay. Our zoning ordinance does allow a different method for doing a similar thing, but oftentimes I've heard, and not necessarily at Spring Hill, but council members or planning commission say, well, can't we just give them a conditional use permit because it might not be allowed in the zoning district, but I really don't have any problem with it. Our code doesn't allow us to do that. Legally, it opens us up to a lot of liability because that could be very subjective, a lot of discretion, and we want to be clear as possible. So that's kind of why we do what we do. And going forward, we are, anytime a question comes up in the city, our first answer is going to be to look at the code. That's going to be our first place we look. What does the code say? Reading all the sections of the code and not relying on memory. So luckily, Ian and I don't have a lot of memory on the code just yet. And so we are going to read every chapter to make sure we're not missing anything. So the more we uncover these types of things, the more that we can look at updating our zoning ordinance. I was just kind of talking to Spencer during that, and currently under our code, in our zoning, our C2 zoning, we would not have any zone that would allow for a Home Depot with their outdoor storage, their lumber yard, their kind of outdoor gardening center. We wouldn't allow that because we don't allow outdoor storage in the C2 zone. And so that's definitely something we, in looking at our zoning code and our land uses, want to update, because I believe that would be something that would be beneficial to the city. And so just really kind of bringing our zoning standards back into, the kind of current trends and current development patterns the way they have. I don't think anybody really anticipated Walmart and Home Depot having massive outdoor storage areas, but that's become the norm. And they're working in cities across the country to bring their outdoor storage standards into compliance with outdated zoning codes. So that's kind of where we're going to start looking at it holistically as well. So
Sounds like you're creating quite a list of potential proposed tweaks to the zoning ordinances as you guys read it.
yeah, we're keeping a running list. I've found that it's best to bring that all forward at one time. I think the comprehensive plan is a great jumping off point for us to use to look at updating our codes and our regulations and ordinances to help implement that comprehensive plan. It feels very, I don't know, scattershot if we just bring you one code amendment and then another zoning amendment and we do like 15 in a year. It's not the best way to do it.
Yeah.
So we prefer to do it maybe one larger one, bring forward the ones that we need to, if that's a one-off or something, but bring them forward probably following the comprehensive plan, and then once or twice a year bringing forward, so we don't wait another 2 or 3 years to bring forward 25 code amendments. Twice a year we can look at bringing forward smaller ones just to help better implement the code or implement the comprehensive plan as we move forward with it.
Awesome. Any other discussion?
Rodolfo, thank you for your question.
Sorry for my long-winded answer.
All right. Well, if no one has anything else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, it has been moved in second. Everybody in agreement? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, 8-0-0.